An unauthenticated attacker can basically take over your mail server. It is a perfect 10 on the severity scale, and it is the lead story today.
I'm Melody. That's Alec. Let's break it down.
We are starting with a heavy hitter. This is a critical vulnerability in a mail server component that allows an unauthenticated attacker to upload arbitrary files to literally any location on the server.
A perfect 10. When you say any location, I'm assuming that leads straight to a web shell and full remote code execution?
Exactly. If you can write a file to a web-accessible directory, you own the box. And because it's a mail server, the stakes are incredibly high. You're looking at total exposure of communications, credentials, the works.
It feels like we're seeing a resurgence of these arbitrary file upload flaws. It's almost nostalgic, but in a bad way. Didn't we just see something similar with those enterprise management tools?
We did, and the trend continues today with two more criticals. These vulnerabilities allow unauthenticated remote attackers to upload web shell backdoors.
Wait, workflow and business process management tools are being targeted, right? That's the connective tissue here. These systems sit right in the middle of sensitive business logic.
Right. It's the get in and stay in playbook. If you're running any workflow or business process management tools, you need to be looking for unauthorized files in your web directories immediately.
And it's not just the big enterprise suites. I saw another application is on the list too. This one has a specific detail that caught my eye. It's only vulnerable if a directory named exam exists under the installation path.
That's a very specific condition. It's likely a leftover from a testing or training module that never got cleaned up. But if that exam directory is there, an attacker can upload a web shell. It's still very high priority.
It's the classic forgotten folder problem. It reminds me of those old WordPress vulnerabilities where a developer leaves a test.php file in the root and suddenly the whole site is compromised.
Speaking of WordPress, we have a SQL-injection flaw in the plugin organizer plugin. It affects versions before 10.2.4. Subscribers, not even admins, just basic subscribers, can perform SQL injection because a parameter isn't being sanitized.
Subscribers? That's a low bar for entry. Most WordPress sites have open registration for subscribers. If you're using Plugin Organizer to manage your load order, you need to hit that update button today.
Definitely. Now, I want to pivot to hardware for a second. Tenda routers are having a rough day. We're looking at a whole cluster of buffer overflows in the WH450 model, version 1.0.0.18.
I saw those. They all seem to target the HTTP request handler, specifically functions like setIPBind and virtual SIR.
Exactly. By manipulating the page argument in these requests, an attacker can trigger a stack-based buffer overflow. These are all rated around 7.2. If these routers are edge-facing, which many are, it's a direct path into the internal network.
It's the same old story with Soho routers. Buffer overflows in the web interface. You know, Alec, looking at the rest of the list, there's a massive dump of SQL injection flaws in some very niche software. The refugee food management system and the online cake ordering system.
Yeah, it's a bit of a code projects and its source code special today. For the refugee food management system, we have SQL injection vulnerabilities. They hit files like viewtakenfd.php and pagenaterefugeeslist.php.
Those sound like student projects or open source templates, but the problem is people actually deploy these things. If you're running a nonprofit or a small business using these ready-made PHP scripts, you are likely sitting on a gold mine for attackers.
Right. The exploits for these are public. If you're using the Refugee Food Management System version 1.0, just assume your database is accessible to the public at this point. There are at least half a dozen different SQL injection points disclosed today.
It's a good reminder that free software often comes with a hidden cost in security debt. But moving away from the patch list, we've got some massive news on the breach front. Coupang is making headlines for all the wrong reasons.
This is a staggering number. Coupang, the retail giant in South Korea, is splitting $1.17 billion among 33.7 million victims of a data breach discovered just last month.
Wait, 1.17 billion? That's, what, over 1.6 trillion won? That has to be one of the largest compensation totals we've ever seen for a single breach. It dwarfs some of the GDPR fines we've talked about.
It's roughly $35 per person. When you consider the scale, 33 million people, the math gets scary for the C-suite very quickly. It shows that the regulatory and legal landscape in South Korea is becoming incredibly punishing for data exposure.
It's a massive wake-up call. And speaking of wake-up calls, we've got another supply chain ransomware story. Marquis Software was hit, and now the banks are starting to send out the notifications.
2 more banks just notified regulators in Maine. The breach didn't happen at the banks themselves, but at Marquis Software. This is the classic hub and spoke attack. Hit the vendor, get the data of all their clients.
It's the move it playbook all over again. Attackers are realizing they don't need to break into a high-security bank if they can just compromise the software the bank uses for data management or reporting. Do we know which ransomware group is behind this one?
The reports haven't named the specific group for Marquis yet, but we do have a name for the attack in Romania. The Oltenia energy complex was hit by a ransomware group.
They hit Romania's largest coal-based energy producer on the second day of Christmas. Taking down IT infrastructure for a power provider during the holidays is anything but gentlemanly.
It's a critical infrastructure hit. Oltenia energy complex is vital for Romania's grid. While the reports say the IT infrastructure was taken down, there's always that fear of spillover into the operational technology side. We've seen how that ends with incidents like Colonial Pipeline.
It's a reminder that these groups don't take holidays. If anything, they use the skeleton crews of the holiday season to their advantage. Between the Coupang settlement and these ransomware hits, it's been a very expensive month for the industry.
Expensive and busy. If you're an admin, your priority today is that mail server flaw. If that's exposed, nothing else matters until it's patched.
If this saved you time, subscribe and hit the bell. We're here every morning.
Stay patched, stay paranoid.